Okay, amazing. And we are live. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our webinar series. And today is a very special episode. In celebration of Women's International Week, we are here today with amazing women who are leading the Web3 space. So my name is Lola. I'm content manager at LiveArt. LiveArt, for those of you who are not familiar, is a Web3 platform for art. We have a Web2 department where we mainly provide art market with AI-powered analytics. We also have a trading floor where you would be able to buy or sell blue chip art. And as a part of our Web3 mission, we onboard blue chip artists to Web3. Mainly last summer, we did an amazing job with Yumin Jun, one of the best-selling Chinese contemporary artists. And a few months ago, we did an amazing job with Chris Levine. It was called The Icons. Chris Levine is a British contemporary artist, and he was the artist to take a portrait of the Queen Elizabeth while she was alive. And I'm here today in an amazing company. And so I would like to start with Hannah. Hannah, hey there. If you can briefly introduce yourself, and thank you so much for joining us.
Hi. I'm going to actually leave the studio. Okay, I'm going to leave because I am having bandwidth issues. So can you hear me okay on the spaces?
Yeah, we can hear you on the spaces. Hannah is right now at the event, and that's why she's having some connection issues. But if I can just say, Hannah is one of the founders at London Women Leading Web3, an amazing network, and I'm proud to be there as steering member. Let's just jump back to Sarah. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us. Can you please do a brief intro and tell the audience how you got into Web3 space?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Sara Baumann. I am an artist and founder here in Web3. I actually come from a background of healthcare. Traditionally, I'm an occupational therapist, but art has been my passion my entire life and something I always wanted to eventually make my full-time career. I think a lot of people probably know me as the founder of Women and Weapons, which is a quote unquote 10,000 piece collection that launched in 2021. But one of the things that I really try and do is to make a mark as much as I possibly can on Web3 and leave behind a wake of good and positivity. I hope that, even just a small pebble dropped into a lake can create a ripple effect. And I hope that, this pebble that we drop here with Women and Weapons of trying to be good and do good in the world will continue to make a ripple effect throughout our community and so on. So that's essentially who I am.
Sounds amazing. Thank you so much. If I can just go back to Manny. Hi, Manny. Thank you so much for joining.
Hello.
Can you please introduce yourself?
It is so great to be here with an amazing group of women. My name is Manny. I am leading the Web3 department at Forbes. I entered into this space primarily through art in 2019, and it's really what's had me stuck around. So very excited for this conversation and all that's ahead.
Amazing. And also Kashvi. Hi, Kashvi. Just if I can, I had a pleasure yesterday to visit one of the Kashvi organized World of Women kind of intra. And it was amazing. I felt like Kashvi energy and the way she pitched the project was amazing.
I was so happy to meet you there. Honestly, it was great to see that you took the initiative to join our member onboarding call. I personally love hosting those. We do them every 2 weeks at WOW. And yeah, it's super, super fun. Thanks for having me here. For those who don't know, I'm Kashvi. I'm the community lead at a brand called World of Women. We started off as a 10K PFP collection back in 2021 as one of the first NFT projects that was bringing representation to Web3. And since then, we've grown to be a community of 13,000 plus holders with 400K ambassadors worldwide. I'm very excited to be here, Olena. Thank you so much. Oh, is she frozen? Okay, while we get her back, just wanted to give a massive shout out to the other speakers here because it is so awesome to be in the company of women who are leading Web3 forward. I feel like that's such an apt name for this crew, and you're all just killing it in your domains, and it's really nice to have opportunities where we can all come together.
Gosh, you're good, Kashvi. Well done, sister. And also, yes, kudos to all the other gals who are here. I think we're having a few connection issues from Chana and from Olena, but hopefully we'll get that back up and running in a second here.
Yeah. Let's give it like a minute, and if she doesn't make it back, good thing we have a doc prepared, so I can just take over and MC and interview you two beautiful ladies as well.
Extremely sorry. I think today is pretty hectic. I've been struggling with some connection issues. So is Hannah, but I think it's fine. So let's continue. Sarah, can you please tell us more about your project, Women and Weapons, and what do you do, and how it was created? I think you're one of the co-founders of the project. So can you tell us more?
Yeah, so Women and Weapons is co-founded by myself and my husband, Jake, who's been basically my biggest cheerleader for the last 20 years. But Women and Weapons originally started out as a 10-piece artwork collection. It's meant to take women from the mid-century era, this era where there were a lot of these perceived kind of expectations of women to stay in the kitchen, be quiet, behave a certain way, dress a certain way, and so on and so forth. And I really wanted to break women out of that narrative and kind of flip the script during that World War II era while utilizing these weapons that these women are holding as kind of these symbols and these metaphors of the various strengths and bravery and ferocity and everything, all these innate qualities that women possess and they carry and that they can really show for themselves day in and day out. And so Women and Weapons was actually originally gouache painted, like I said, a 10-piece collection, and then grown and kind of evolved into this 10,000 piece collection, which, for me as an artist, I think it's incredibly important to constantly experiment with the different tools that are at hand for artists. And so one of the things that I think was really intriguing at the time was especially this opportunity to create these various layers that could then via a generative process be turned into these unique images, basically 10,000 piece images. And so for me, it was kind of a consideration of, okay, wow, Rosie the Riveter was so incredibly powerful for so many women all the way from, the 1940s until now. What if Rosie the Riveter was a piece of imagery that was kind of specific to each individual person who possessed it? And, a potential of 10,000 people could possess one of these images for themselves, whether it's a reflection on themselves, something that they see themselves in, or something that reflects, a family member or a friend or somebody, or, just the general population of women that makes people feel empowered and strong and brave and so on. And so that's essentially where Women and Weapons was born from, and something that I'm still incredibly proud of. And I hope continues to have a legacy associated with it. And, although Women and Weapons kind of portrays this very powerful, tough, intense kind of imagery and is meant to spark a narrative that I believe creates cultural change, we're also very much focused on doing good and providing good throughout the world. And so we've been very focused on, giving back to especially the Malala Fund, because one of the things that we firmly believe at Women and Weapons is that education can be a woman's weapon or a girl's weapon and allow a lot of opportunities for independence for girls and women across the world.
That's a beautiful mission. Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm also excited that we have Hannah back. Hannah, can you just do a quick intro and also tell us more about London Women Leading Web3? Also, for those people who are listening to us, you can also, I think, fill out application if you're based in London and join this amazing network where Hannah serves as a founding member.
So I'm really sorry for my Wi-Fi interruption. Unfortunately, we are reliant on this technology, but thanks for bearing with me. I'm actually at an event right now in London for International Women's Day, which is why I'm trying to rely on their Wi-Fi. So thanks for bearing with me. At a phenomenal event, actually, for VC funders and women startups. And I just heard this morning that less than 2% of funding annually is going towards women, and whether that's intentional or unintentional due to bias, it's something that we are trying to change. And one of the founding missions of London Women Leading Web3, it's a great privilege to have by accident found this network. Can you all hear me okay? I'm just checking because I'm literally I've taken over the receptionist's desk, by the way. I'm literally at the reception doing this, so excuse any background noise. But where there's a will, there's a way. So London Women Leading Web3 was founded almost 2 years ago now by accident. Just started going to Web3 events and found myself one of the only women in the room, and obviously made a beeline for the other women in the room who were all just the most inspirational, intelligent and charismatic people. And naturally, being a networker, I just took their WhatsApp. And after a while of introducing each person on WhatsApp, I decided that it was just more convenient for me to have a group. So we started a WhatsApp group. And because all these women are so amazing, we decided to make it more than that and founded London Women Leading Web3, which is a peer-to-peer network to support women in senior roles, because we have found that the higher up you go in Web3 or in any tech, I would say, industry, as well as other industries, the less women there are. And reasons for that are multiple, whether it's, just being a woman and having to have kids and taking time out, or just being overlooked, or for various reasons. But the bottom line is, the higher up you go, the less women there are. And I think all of us sitting here definitely have experienced multiple, not just one, but multiple meetings where we are the only women in the room. So the point of this network is to be peer-to-peer and supportive. And we are looking to grow it in a curated way. And just to give support for women who experience a lot and have to be quite tough, I think, in the tech sector as a whole, when you're on your career trajectory. So as much as I very much don't often go to women only, spaces and events. I love working with, everybody, all people, man, women, blonde, brunette, it doesn't really matter what you are. I do feel passionate about this because there is a reason to feel passionate about it. The reason that women are so vocal and the reason that we have International Women's Day is something unfortunate but needed. We have to have these conversations because there is a bias. The stats don't lie, and we need to change it. And that's, I think, what all of us are here to do.
Thank you so much, Hannah, and thank you so much for highlighting this issue. Actually, I think it was a while ago, and my journey started from art world, and I was reading an article about galleries, when they pick an artist, they actually consider gender, considering that a woman artist would become pregnant. She has this possibility to become pregnant. This is why they don't actually work with women artists, meaning that the pregnancy can take 2 years you out of your career journey. So yes, thank you so much for highlighting this issue too. I want to go back to Manny. Hi, Manny. Thank you so much for joining. Manny serves as a VP at Forbes Web3, and I think Manny would be the best person to tell us on the current state of this market and its inclusivity and how you feel about it.
Of course, thank you. Web3 is a very unique and special industry. I think it's one that I think you sort of have once in a lifetime opportunity to be a part of something at the very beginning stages to help it mold and help it grow. And for everyone that is in this space today, we're doing exactly that. And because it's so new, I think a lot of us came into this sort of going all in when we were in college, when we were studying, when we were thinking about what we wanted to do when we grow up. Web3 was not on the roadmap because blockchain technology was not on the roadmap. The power of cryptocurrencies was not on the roadmap. So this industry is really built by folks that decided to make a change in their 9 to 5 in real life world and sort of go all in on building and sort of helping revolutionize the blockchain technology and the industry behind it. Right now, Web3 is growing bigger and faster than we ever have. It has gone through so many cycles. It has seen so many different waves of trends, impact on culture. And one thing that has stayed constant, regardless of these trends and these waves, has just been it's adapting towards the mass market. And what I have seen coming from the Web2 world, coming from Forbes, is the incredible pace at which legacy brands are saying, we are all in. I thought it was going to take us 5 to 10 years until we see Macy's, Budweiser, Adidas, Forbes go into this space, but no, we have started embracing this technology way faster than a lot of people anticipated, and this is just the beginning. At Forbes, what's really important for us is how do we show our 100+ million readers the incredible world of Web3, the art, the artists around it, and the true power of blockchain technology. So we're thinking about this very thoughtfully. We've done a few projects that I'll share. We put the under 30 list on the blockchain to show our readers how you can use this technology for data verification, validation. We added Connect Wallet to Forbes.com. So if you connect your wallet in a few steps, the entire paywall goes down and all of Forbes.com becomes entirely free. This was a special initiative because we could tell the audience a lot about the wallet, but what better way to truly get conversion than to put that Connect Wallet button right in front of them and have them go through that process in a very seamless way. I think it's easy integrations like this that will truly help us move the needle. And of course, we've done a lot of partnerships with Animoca brands, Wearable, to spotlight emerging artists, spotlight creators. So Forbes is sort of all in, and we want to be a part of the storytelling. To Sarah's point, if we can even be one pebble in this large lake, when we think about helping us move in the right direction, Forbes very much has that exact same vision. And we're doing this with creating a lot of technologies that will help us bring the rest of the world in.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. And I've been also following Forbes' recent drop collaboration with Raribo. It looked amazing. You highlighted a lot of emerging artists, and yeah. Okay, Kashvi, thank you so much for joining us too. And I think you can tell us more about WOW. And you have a lot of actually lovely mission where you empower women. And yeah, if you can comment on this.
Of course. So, World of Women is a modern day lifestyle club at the forefront of art, tech, and culture. We talked a little bit about the NFT side of it, but you can join the club by buying a WOW or a WOW-G. Our goal with WOW, our long term vision, is really to build an inclusive future. Hannah was saying earlier that the fact that we have to even have an International Women's Day comes from a lack of opportunities that women have had to, combat with for the last couple of years. So really, when I think about it, I think about creating a world where we don't even need a separate International Women's Day. Why can't we celebrate women every day? So when I think about the long-term vision and the mission that we're all here to achieve, I really do think about that. But what we're trying to build every day is a community of artists, creatives, and builders that come together to celebrate just womanhood and things that they're deeply passionate about. I think WOW has placed itself in terms of historical significance in Web3, but we're still working towards making this space more inclusive and, really bringing opportunities to the table for women and women artists. We've all seen statistics about how NFT sales are a very NFT sales accounted by women are an extremely short percentage. I think it's still in single digits. And it's been this consistent statistic since 2021. So there's a lot of work to do. And we're kind of here to just contribute as much as we can to making it happen.
I still remember when World of Women first came out. This was during a time when PFPs were becoming so resonated by the whole world. And the people in Web3 were looking for art that reminded them of themselves, hobbies, styles, characteristics. And I couldn't wait for my first PFP, but I couldn't find one that I resonated with. And then World of Women came out, and I just completely fell in love with the community. And I felt like I found this little group of folks that I could sort of belong with. So it's been incredible seeing World of Women's journey.
That's beautiful, Manny. And it's exactly how I felt as well when WoW launched, because there were a lot of collections out there. And I'd been in Web3 for a couple of months prior to World of Women's launching. And there were communities that I felt like a part of, but WoW is where I truly felt like I belonged. And it's also where, for the first time, I felt super safe talking to a group of people and being vulnerable. And it's very rare for women to find spaces like that on the internet. So super happy to hear that, Manny, and striving towards making this space safer every single day.
I have to say, Kashvi, sorry to interject, but I echo that just from very recently. We were in Paris together, and I was privileged to go to the World of Women Gala, which was something extremely special. I know because I was working closely with Kashvi and the team before, because we provided some amazingly inspirational women creators who were treated like queens, put up in a beautiful hotel and had their makeup done by Sephora to cover the event, which was obviously extremely empowering for them as well. And but what struck me, which I wasn't prepared for actually at all, it's the first event that I've been to for a World of Women. Most of the events I go to, working with Rug Radio and being pretty much a Web3 degen myself, are really, I would say, OG Web3 type events, which had a very different feel. When I walked into this gala, it was beautifully put together. It was very elegant. Everyone was dressed beautifully. They had a whole Sephora area. And I suddenly felt, I just felt comfortable being a woman in that event. I felt completely comfortable and supported. I didn't mind being there on my own, which sometimes, often you are at these events. And for me, that was a powerful moment, because and one of the reasons why, again, we have the network in London that we do, and I know there are other parallel networks across the world, that people often don't think about this, but going to an event as a woman on your own is sometimes quite intimidating, and I think it's very important to be mindful, both men and women, of that when putting on events, and making sure that safety and having areas where people feel comfortable to connect and network it is extremely important. And I think you carried that off so superbly, and would love to attend many more, because I think that these kind of high level, more enterprise level events are what's needed for us. The smaller events and the OG events are very, very important too, and I love them. And you will definitely always find me sitting in a bar with a glass of wine with a bunch of G-Gens most of the time, and I'm very comfortable. But I do think that looking at the bigger picture for Web3 and looking at expansion, we do need to provide spaces that people are used to and comfortable, corporate enterprise level gatherings where people can go and interconnect without feeling uncomfortable, is something that we should be considering and thinking about. And I think both NFT Paris recently and World of Women did that very, very well. And it's something that I'm definitely thinking about going forward as well.
Hannah, it was such a pleasure to work with you and the Rug Radio creators on this one. And it was honestly incredible to just see our vision come to life. Oops, sorry, I got a call. It was incredible to see our vision come to life, because what we initially had in mind was to host Web3's most elegant event of the year. That's what we wanted to do, while incorporating elements of WoW's lore and making it an amazing, beautiful evening for our community. So from the moment you walk into the door till the time you enter the stage and go around every activation, it was all super carefully planned out by Sarona, who's our events lead, and our agency that we worked with. Their name is Deep Dive. We really just wanted to show up the show Web3 that WoW is still here, women are still here, and we are honestly just, we're here to make an impact and we're making moves. Like, this is serious business. And just because you might not see us pop up on your timeline every single day doesn't mean that we aren't putting in the work. And I think the WoW Gala was a statement event in many ways, because we also brought together some really cool curated people to this event. And like you said, one of WoW's goals is to create as many networking opportunities as we can. We do this year round, to be honest, with this initiative called WoW Meetups, through which we fund local gatherings hosted by our holders. But events like the WoW Gala that happen annually are really all about getting everyone together in a room, making it a night of celebration. We had the WoW Awards happening during the gala as well. That was super amazing. And just making sure everyone has a good time and they feel safe while they're doing it. Safety and security was a super important element in terms of planning out this event as well. Wanted everyone to feel like, you know, they can loosen up and have a little bit of fun, especially since it was the closing night of NFT Paris. But really appreciate all the feedback, because months and months of planning went into this one, and hopefully we make the next one even better.
Thank you so much. And actually, thank you, Manny, for highlighting the beginning of WoW as a phenomenon, because I saw the PFP everywhere like a year ago, and I felt like it looked amazing. And I think your co-founder at WoW is also a female artist who created the PFP itself, right? Amazing. Okay. Actually, I want to go back to Sarah, because as we see, women are underrepresented not only in Web3 space but also in the tech sphere. So Sarah, maybe you have some tips for female artists who are willing to enter the Web3 space and might be a little bit overwhelmed by the technology, or how would they start? What would be your tips for women who are willing to enter this space?
Well, I will tell you guys right now that I was one of those women who was extremely overwhelmed by the tech within this space. I am not a super skilled, person in tech natively. It's something that whenever I try and learn it, I have to work like double hard at it, because it's just not something that comes natural to me. So I totally understand that sentiment from a lot of people who are trying to enter the space, that it's extremely overwhelming. But I think my biggest tip that I'd have to give to people is to really do your homework and do your research before you start actually putting any money into anything within the space. Like, really make sure you know your safety and kind of know your ropes before you start doing that. And so you can go to various websites. For example, like MetaMask has several tutorials for people. I know that World of Women has a lot of educational materials for women who are wanting to enter Web3 and want to understand a little bit more about the technology and how to do so. But there's also a lot of tutorials that you can find on places like podcasts and YouTube and what have you. I think one of the things that's important, however, is to pay attention to the date stamp that the information and the educational materials were created. And the reason that I say that is because Web3 moves at an unbelievable pace. And so what might have a date stamp from 6 months ago today could be extremely outdated. And so I think it's important for anybody jumping into Web3 or learning this technology or what have you to spend at least 50 hours of really researching, learning about, understanding, and so on, what all the technology is about. You can jump into various Twitter spaces. Like, for example, Rug Radio hosts Twitter spaces all the time and podcasts all the time. World Women has educational materials. You can find educational materials through, I think it's ethereum.org, through MetaMask. And so there's a multitude of locations that you can find information from. I think one of the most important things, though, is to also be skeptical. When something seems too good to be true, just, use your best judgment on it. Don't click links. If somebody's trying to hold your hand through something and says, hey, give me, this information, give me your seed phrase, whatever it may be, potentially hold back on that a little bit and keep those cards close to yourself. But seek out the information first. Maybe even find a buddy that you can learn some of this information with. You can find a lot of those buddies, whether it be through Twitter, through Discord, what have you. But there's a lot of people out there that are trying to learn this information too. And sometimes it's best whenever you do it in pairs.
Thank you so much. As you've been talking, I had flashbacks about me actually starting to enter in the space, trying to set up a MetaMask wallet. So yeah, research is important for sure. And Manny, can you also share some, I think, like aspiring tips for women willing to become a part of this space and how they can start?
Yeah, I think the best way is honestly to just do it. It's a world that may seem very intimidating from the outside. How to get in, how do I make sure what is real, what is not a scam? But to Sarah's point, we are definitely now in a space where there's a plethora of content out there. One of the easiest ways is just being very deep into community. Like I entered into the space through my business partner at that time. We had an e-commerce company together, Michael, and he was collecting CryptoPunks. He was collecting Beeples. He was way early on when the price was much lower than what it is now. And I saw him collecting and falling in love with the art. And he sort of guided me through this. Like, look, here's how you set up and make a Chrome extension. This is why you absolutely need to remember your seed phrase. And I definitely made that rookie mistake. The first seed phrase, the first wallet I created, have no idea where it is. Couldn't tell you. I tried way too many times to try to figure out what the phrase was, but we've all been there, right? And even after that, I wanted to dive in deeper. So I just made a Discord account and I started just joining communities of NFTs that I did not hold. But that's really how I just started my discovery. And I think it was that hands-on approach that really worked for me, just going very deep end. And that's really the best advice I have. It's you'll learn so much more by actively being integrated into the community than spending, months kind of like reading and learning about it on a high level.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I think maybe Hannah, you can tell us more about networking tips in Web3. I think a lot of people are still overwhelmed. So everyone in Web3 space is pretty friendly and open, but I think you would be the person to comment on this.
Well, as I said, I'm at an event right now, so excuse the noise, but networking. I mean, look, it's just about having the guts to put yourself out there, really. There are so many events. I mean, living in London, I'm invited to events literally every day, but you don't need to wait to be invited. Like if you go on Eventbrite or really any sort of networking or meetup event and type in Web3 or AI or emerging tech, you'll see so many events that you can go to. And it's just about really showing up. The next thing is to realize that everyone feels the same way as you do. And it's just a case of turning around to the person standing next to you and saying hello. And you'll be amazed that once that happens, what comes from that. I can't tell you how many people I've met from just turning around and saying, hi, my name's Chana, what brings you here? And some of them are some of the most valuable connections and have become friends for life. So it can be quite intimidating. And I always think of myself as an introverted extrovert. I always think, should I really go? And I don't know anyone. And it's just about sort of pushing yourself to go and be at these events and enjoy the opportunities and make the most of them. And you just never know who you're going to speak to. I think the other thing is valuing every conversation and every partnership. You never know the person. Sorry, there's background noise, so I might stop in a minute. But you never know a person that you're speaking to who may be just starting up, maybe the next Vitalik, or we just don't know. And it's about valuing every conversation, learning from everybody, and that's what I try to do. The other really good tip is when you do speak to people, try and get their contact, either connect with them on Twitter, WhatsApp. Your network is your value, is your worth, and business comes from a powerful network. So go for it. That's my advice. Just go for it. You're just as good as anyone else out there.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. And Kashvi, I think when you're working, you're also dealing with a lot of people willing to become a part of either WoW or Web3 space. And actually, yesterday, I also saw you kind of integrating a person from traditional art world who is willing to jump into digital one. So I think you would also be an amazing person to share your tips on how women can enter the Web3.
Well, what I would suggest is really just what everyone else here has been saying, which is to research deeply about what is it that you're getting into. I spent a good 3 to 4 months reading, learning, and just talking to people that are in Web3 before I even bought my first little bit of ETH or my very first NFT. It's very important to have conversations and to absolutely know what you're getting into before you actually get into it and put your money where your mouth is. I also learned a lot by doing, as Manny said. So, realizing that, oh shit, gas is super expensive, or stuff like, damn, I can very easily get scammed through these weird, fishy links that are everywhere in the space. So, it's a combination of learning, doing, and then eventually embodying what it is that you're passionate about. Because when it comes to joining a new space, as these amazing women have already mentioned, it's best to do it with buddies, with groups, with communities. It's also important to just really give things like this deep thought, because eventually, once you do start participating in the space, you kind of want to build your own thesis and your own reasons for being here. Because at the end of the day, when things go bad or when you get hit with a bear market, those are the reasons that are going to make you want to stay in the long run. So those are a couple of things. And in addition to that, I'm a community manager, so I am very particular about safety and security. You have to get that sorted out, and you have to make sure that you have the right wallets, you're storing your seed phrase super correctly, and also that you're trusting the right people. It's great to talk to everyone, give everyone a shot, but find a few people that you trust and really find a way to lean on each other when times get rough. Because at the end of the day, I do think it's about the friends that we made along the way. And that has been a key takeaway that I've had from all the events that I've been to, from all the community members that I've spoken to. When I ask them at the end of the day, what is Web3 about for you? They always talk about the people and the friends that they've made. So as Hannah was saying, like, treat everyone well, treat everyone with kindness, always give them the benefit of the doubt, lean into their perspectives, and eventually use that to just build your own and just be a good human being wherever you can. In terms of onboarding people, yesterday, a little bit of context to everyone who's listening to this. At WoW, I host a bi-weekly onboarding session to teach people about World of Women and what is it that exactly that we're doing. It's an hour-long session where I have some pretty slides that I try to dazzle everyone with. But on a deeper level, it's really just about making the person on the other side of the screen feeling comfortable about joining this community. And it's all right to be confused. It's just important that you're taking steps to reduce that confusion. And we like to do it by hand-holding and really paving the path for people, giving them the right YouTube videos to watch or the right podcasts to watch, and telling them that, hey, here's an article. It shows you how to convert your USD into ETH, and just like giving them the help that they need is always something to do. And the more you help others, the better it is. Like, it's that simple in my eyes.
Thank you so much. Actually, I think like 3 days ago, I opened my Twitter and I saw Kashvi. She posted kind of like a thread, and she highlighted and tagged all the women that supported her on her journey in Web3 as a part of International Women's Week. And when I was prepping an agenda for this webinar, I thought this is what we can do actually live, if you feel like it. If you have a chance, Sarah, Mani, Hannah, Kashvi, to highlight some of the women that inspired you and were kind of like a look at person in the space, it would be amazing. I actually have a lot. And this is actually why we host this webinar, because I really appreciate each and one of you as females in this space. I think you're all amazing, and I actually super appreciate Hannah and her amazing job with launching Wanton Women Lead in Web3. This was a place where I met a lot of amazing aspiring women. So yeah, it's like a time to call out the women that really appreciate in this space.
Before we get started, I just wanted to say that Hannah was the one who posted the thread, not me. Although it does sound like a lovely thing to do, Hannah was the one who like curated a list of women, and I think I got the notice for it earlier today, and it was such an honor to be tagged in it, really.
Well, so sorry, Hannah.
Thank you. No, I mean, look, I'm a bit overwhelmed right now, but I was thinking very carefully about that thread, and I did have some negative feedback, and I was speaking about it to a friend this morning. I sat this morning and I went through and tried to tag as many women as I know, and of course I literally missed out already. Some women sitting here, as well as many of my friends, and I knew it was a slightly scary thing to do because I was miss out people that I care about. But I also felt passionate about calling out these women who are often behind the scenes. And I had another woman actually comment on it and saying, I didn't think that lists of women for International Women's Day is not really what we're celebrating. And I decided to call it out because I actually feel that we have enough to deal with, and to amplify women in the space without having then other women putting it down. I think that women should be quietly supporting each other. It doesn't have to be obvious. I very rarely do, women only stuff. I work with a majority of men, although Rug Radio, I have to say, is now, I think, 50-50. So really proud of that. We've got a big women presence as well as many women creators. But I do think it is important to take a day to call out these women who often get overlooked. And I'm going to do that. And if people don't like it, I don't care, really. And I think we should be brave enough. I mean, how wonderful would it be if our timeline was filled of the names of all these women who often are working behind the scenes with very little recognition? And it's about time that we change that and make some noise. And if people don't like that, that's okay for me. So I think today is about celebrating these women, shouting their names out loud and clear, and making sure they get a recognition for often they are the ones behind the scenes that men are taking credit for. And I think we have to change that status quo. So thank you for the kind words, but I have to say that you all inspire me every single day. The women that I work with, shout out to the amazing women on the Rug Radio and Decrypt team who are inspirational and inspire me every day. The women that I meet in LWLW3 just are constantly incredulous at what they achieve on a daily basis. And I have to tell you, I have a friend of mine that actually came to London. He's in the art world and he wanted some introductions, and I spent the day with him and I introduced him to 4 women, and he said to me at the end of the day that those meetings had been the most powerful meetings he's had all year, and he's just cannot believe these women and what they're building, and he just didn't hear of that, he just didn't even know. And I think you find that often with the women in this industry, that their intelligence and their capabilities are so high because they have to be to get to where they are, right? So the women in this space are of such a high caliber that they often, once you have the conversations around the board, put the men in the shade because of their capabilities. And I think it's just about time to acknowledge the talented cohort that we have in Web3 and beyond. And what's more important, and one of the reasons that I'm at this event now with the background noise of women, the wonderful background noise of women having conversations behind me right now, is I think the only thing that will really change this is women investing in women. And in order for women to invest in women, we have to enable them to be in that position, to empower these women to have the money and the success to then use some of that money and success to invest in other women. And that's what we are trying to do, both at London Women Leading Web3, and I think together here right now. We want to empower these women so that they get to a point where they can invest in other women. And that's really powerful, and that's something that I think we should really try and work towards over the next few years.
It's a beautiful thought, actually. If I were to take quotes, I think I would note this one. It's amazing. Women investing in women. Thank you so much for sharing, Hannah. Yeah, so Sarah, if you feel like it, you can call out some women who inspired you alongside your journey into Web3.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many women, right? But I think off of the top of my head, Avery Akinini is probably one of the first women that comes to mind. She's one of the first women I think I interacted with whenever I entered Web3, and she's behind VaynerX, and she's just such an unbelievable powerhouse of a woman, so driven, so brilliant. So Avery Akinini, Amber Vittoria, who's one of my dear friends and who really became, heavily a mentor for me entering Web3. She's a fellow artist as well, but also Somi Aryan, she's behind InPeak, and then Annie Reardon and Renee Russo, who are the gals behind Ludo. I think these were several of the women who just constantly inspired me, their drive, their brilliance, they're just absolute powerhouses, and they really make me want to continue to be as much of a powerhouse as I possibly can be too. They're very inspiring.
Thank you so much. And Manny, do you have someone you would like to mention?
Absolutely. I mean, of course, the great ladies that we have here in today's panel, and the list it's incredibly long, but a couple that come to mind right away are women that have truly made an impact on the creator content and designers and artists in the Web3 space. I remember it was either in 2019 or 2020, I saw some reports that said about 5 to 10% of the creators on OpenSea were female. And I know since that time, we have come a very long way. Two artists that I'm very much following and have absolutely loved looking at their journey and their creation has been Emily Z and Claire Silver. Claire Silver came out with a beautiful pieces of works just a couple months ago, where she really focused on AI and art that we can create as humans, but with this new innovative technology. And I think it truly disrupted how the art industry thinks about working with this new technology that we're still trying to understand ourselves, and how it can play a positive role in creative, authentic work. And so for her to sort of lead that movement, I thought was very powerful. And Emily Z, she just has a great way of showing her authentic self through all of her work, especially when it comes to culture, comes to her upbringing, her influence through her ecosystem. I had the pleasure of meeting her just a couple of weeks ago in New York City, and it was one of my most favorite conversations, going and learning about her life, how she holds a strong responsibility as a woman, as a top woman in this space, and how she's really cultivating this space for all women that are to come after her. Those are two I'd love to share and encourage those that haven't heard of them to check out further.
Thank you so much. And thank you for mentioning Claire Silver. I think, yes, she's amazing, and I love her grant programs. It's always about uncovering emerging talents. And Kashvi, I see unmuted yourself, so I think you have your list in mind. So please go ahead.
Yeah, I know that Hannah has to go in a minute, so I want to be quick with it. Honestly, I do have a list in mind, but I'm afraid to say it because I feel like I'm going to miss someone. So I'm just going to go ahead and give a massive shout out to everyone on this panel and the women that work at WOW. We have a lot of team members that aren't super public facing, but they're putting in the reps every single day to make WOW what it is today. So there's, of course, Shannon and Adelina that you see on your timelines every day, but we also have Chelsea Chung, who's our VP of Marketing, Diana, who's our Head of Strategic Accounts, Joanna, who leads legal at WOW, Julia, who is a social media content creator, she's really good at what she does, but you don't get to see Julia every day because she's always behind the wow account. We have Maria, who's a product designer, Shelly, our product lead, and Taya, our VP of product. We have Sam, who is a project manager, and of course, the one and only Yam Karkai, who is our co-founder and artist. She hasn't been out there as much, but still a lot of love for her. And she is one of the people who truly embodies celebrating women every single day. So that was my short list.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. I think this would be the final question for today. So we kind of partially identified some challenges, and what are the ways you feel like we can address these challenges to make women feeling more confident entering the space and continue working in the space? With that,
I think the question was, what are some of the challenges that women are dealing with on a day-to-day basis, and how are we navigating it? Sarah, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, well, I think, I certainly don't have all the answers. But, I think among the challenges that we're facing are probably attention. I think it's hard won in Web3, and I think just on social media in general to gain attention. But, I think it's something that we're still working on. I think that we're making a lot of progress. I think that we're seeing a positive trend in that regard. And I think over the next few years, we're going to see that trend continuing to move in an up and to the right direction. And that's definitely one of my hopes.
Thank you so much. And Hannah, how do you feel about it?
I mean, challenges. I think the challenges are there for everybody, regardless of sex. I echo what Sarah says: attention economy, technology issues, safety. I would say it's quite a hard and broad question to quantify. I think it's about education. Education is really, really important. And I always try, and I know it's a bit bad advice here. I always have like the do it, break it, fix it approach, which isn't great advice in crypto. But I think unless you do something, you'll never really understand it properly. So try to do things in a safe way with, testing wallets and put the safety things in that you need to do. But challenges in the sector as a whole, I would say that one of my biggest challenges in Web3 is just the 24/7 extreme speed of the space and the feeling that you're always missing out something, that FOMO feeling and trying to keep up with everything. And one of the things that I've learned is just to try and slow down, which I'm my team probably laughing at me right now because I'm so not that. I do everything very quickly, but try as a whole to take a step back and accept that you're not going to know everything about every single aspect of what's going on because the growth is so exponential and quick. And it's about just trying to get a grip on what is relative, is important to you. And accepting the fact that FOMO is really JOMO. Someone said that to me, and I love that coin. The joy of missing out, and it is so true. There is a huge joy in me when I'm not invited to something or I have missed out on something, to know that I'm still living, still survived, and it's absolutely fine that I'm not everywhere and doing everything. So I think the best advice I would give, and one of my biggest challenges is conquering that FOMO factor, to focus on what we're really building, and hopefully that will bring success.
This is beautiful, actually addressing FOMO, and actually every drop sellouts in Web3 Web3 also are addressing this form of viewing, creating a really small sale window, like an hour, and you're viewing FOMO constantly, not only about in real life events. And I also heard this definition of joy of missing out, and I find it extremely relevant. Especially when I take like a few days off my work, and then I see that the world doesn't stop actually there, so it's all good. Yeah, thank you so much, Hannah, for sharing. And Manny, can you identify some challenges and what would be the best way to address them?
Yeah, I think in Web3 we kind of have like this clean slate, and I'm speaking as someone who used to work in very like much older industries. I used to work in oil and gas. I used to work in these industries that from the very beginning have been very male dominated, and women are trying to find their place in the space. So as someone that has seen the other side of the spectrum, what I can say very gladly is Web3 is very refreshing. And while our work is not done yet, if we look at all the amazing women that have built this space, it is a place where I do feel like that inclusivity is there. It can be sometimes seen in pockets, maybe sometimes it's not as much as we would like, but I really do want to give it to the leaders of the space, to just the ecosystem that we've created for us all to be celebrated so equally. At Forbes, I'll say we've created ways to make sure that women's voices felt heard, but just as importantly, we want to make sure that we don't want to bubble ourselves in too much. We want to make sure that we have this equal playing field with all of our partners. So we have Forbes Women internally and externally. We have our own organization inside of Forbes where we focus on women and the journeys that they have been on. What were their careers before they joined the Forbes as a company? But equally, to my point earlier, it's important to make sure that we don't distinguish ourselves in just this little bubble alone, and we truly are a part of that equal level playing field.
Thank you so much, Manny. Thank you so much for sharing. Kashvi, please go ahead.
I was actually going to say something super similar to Manny's point from an attention economy standpoint. Hannah was saying earlier that Web3 is 24/7. This space is constantly on. And I think everyone is fighting for attention and visibility, because these are two things that are very key to making it in the space from a brand's perspective. So I think some of the challenges that we face is, how do we ride on every trend that's happening, or how do we make sure that we're garnering the attention that we should be through the content, or the content that we're producing, the events that we're having a presence at, and just making those, I think, resource-based decisions sometimes. And the way we're navigating that is by really just listening to the community and leaning into what their asks are, because we want to show up in places where they are proud to amplify the community that they're a part of and proud to amplify World of Women. So really just doing that, posting engaging content that makes you want to, that makes you really just feel something and makes you want to share it with your friends and family. But yeah, I think visibility and riding on waves of attention has been a little bit of a challenge in the last couple of months, but we're slowly finding our feet by hosting events like our amazing gala and trying to keep the momentum up every single day.
Thank you so much. I think we are running out of time, and I just want to say again, Happy International Women's Week, and tomorrow's a day. And thank you so much for joining us, Sara, Kashvi, Manny. I felt like so far this was one of the most valuable webinars we've ever hosted. Thank you so much for sharing, and I can actually myself feel your amazing energy. Yeah, if you have any final thoughts or something you want to add, please go ahead.
Olena, you are an incredible host. Thank you so much for curating this panel and for having us. It's been a very, I would say it's been a very introspective week for me personally, coming back from the gala and, all the activations that are happening now with International Women's Day. And I think my closing message is just that women are here, we're going to be here, and we're going to continue making an impact, whatever it takes, especially brands like World of Women. And if you are in support of this message, I invite you with open arms to come and be a part of what we're doing here. And it's good to celebrate all our accomplishments, take it in our stride, and build something beautiful together. Over to Sara. I'm just going to pass the mic.
Yeah, I mean, likewise. Thank you so much, Olena. Thank you to LiveArt for having all of us. This is a phenomenal panel of brilliant women that I'm ecstatic to be a part of for sure. But I guess closing words is I hope to see people continue to foster this behavior of positivity and kindness and empathy towards one another. I think, man, women, non-binary, no matter who you are, I think fostering a community of kindness and support for one another and empathy for one another is ultimately going to be what creates the greatest cultural change. And so I think that's probably what I want to leave everybody with.
Yeah, I think that's very well said, Sarah. And Olena, thank you so much to you and LiveArt. This has been a tremendous conversation and excited for what's ahead.
Thank you so much. So I will see everyone, our listeners or viewers next week, and go ahead and celebrate International Women's Week. Thank you. Bye.